My goal all the time is to keep my kids alive, which people always laugh at, but then when I tell them our story, it makes a lot more sense. Both of my kids have had kidney reflux, so they essentially go back in and over a series of surgeries and procedures, they rebuild their bladder and their kidney and reconstruct the way everything flows, which is a really intense and major surgery for little ones. And then my son also, when he was born, he had severe laryngomalacia, which required airway surgery at 5 weeks old. He sounded like a dog's squeaky toy. And then one day I put him in his bouncer and I turned to go and put toast in the toaster, and when I turned around he was completely grey. And I just picked him up, and as I moved him, then his airways moved, so he started breathing again, and that happened 6 times over the next probably 2 weeks. By this stage he was 4 weeks old and he still hadn't been triaged, so I took him to my daughter's private ENT, and that was a Friday afternoon, and they ended up operating on the Monday. With both of the kids, most of the surgeries have been done private. The only one that we had done public was because we needed an ICU bed, but we still saw that doctor privately because we just couldn't get in. The ENT wait times are between 18 months and 2 years. After I had my daughter, I had post-natal anxiety, and it wasn't until I ended up throwing up in the bin in the middle of the shopping centre. And at that point I realised, oh, that's not a normal response to not being able to see your kid. And I realised that the whole time I'd never let her out of my eyesight. And I didn't actually realise that I was having quite severe anxiety. I just thought it was the lack of sleep and the extra stresses. Having a psychology background, and I just started my Masters in psychotherapy and counselling, and my area of interest has always been perinatal mental health. And still knowing all the signs and what to look for and how easily I could pinpoint it in other people, I still couldn't recognise it within myself. 1 in 5 parents experience postnatal depression or anxiety, so you just got to ask for help and it's out there. I think the real benefit for us with going privately was the expectations for the kids. They knew where they were going, they were familiar with the environment. For me, for my anxiety, it was great for me to know the doctors, know the anaesthetist, know where we were going to be staying, that we were going to be fed, where the playrooms were, just simple things that take a little bit of the stress away from what's not a very nice situation. For me, the more active I was, the more easily I could manage my anxiety, and nothing gets out my anxiety better than a good run. So I just decided to do triathlon. I knew a couple of people that did it, and I thought, oh yeah, I could maybe do that. Once I started training for it and setting goals, and the feeling that you get out there, and as a whole sets like a nice example for my kids as well. That's just part of my lifestyle. And my daughter doesn't even realise that not everyone does that. Probably the healthiest I've been since I was a teenager, which you sort of need to be when you're chasing around after 2 little kids. Yeah, it gives you quite a bit of purpose, and it's really nice to make yourself a priority while you're setting an example for your kids. Everything about it feels quite positive.